Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We're coming in live. And if you don't know, now you know what time it is. It's Buff Time with Big Dog Chico and Brian Howard right here, Premium Primetime Buff Talk on the digital airwaves of YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Make sure you hit the follow, like, subscribe, and all the other good stuff as we dig into your airwaves with some goodness right here from College Buff Football with all the updates and insights that you will want to find out and hear about. Brian, what's good, man? What's happening? How you doing?
I'm
You back,
good. How you doing today, Chico?
back on it once again, man. And we got some good news. We was hoping something juicy would happen today. Nothing really big, but something. I kind of did take note of some things, but we'll get into that later on. Make sure y'all stay tuned for us getting into all things Colorado Buffs. But update us on what's been going on since we've talked over the weekend.
Yeah, obviously there was the press conference and media day, and I know that a lot of people have been over that, and you and Adam have talked about that, and so we can get into that if you'd like to, but that's been addressed quite a bit, and so that was entertaining. Warren Sapp talked to us today. First time we've heard from Coach Sapp since he came on board, and he was really good. It was really nice to hear him talk about why he's in coaching, and then of course one of the things out of Friday was the announcement that they're going to do a practice at a high school stadium in Denver on Friday, which is pretty exciting for fans in Denver, and the opportunity to go see them. And I don't know how they're going to do tickets or how they're going to keep people away that can't get in, but it could be a madhouse, or maybe they figured out a way to be organized with it. But that'll be a fun thing on Friday.
Yes, it is. That'll be something I would have liked to attend right there. I think it's going to be great to just to have a lot of people come out. Hopefully that doesn't kill the noise in the background, but have a lot of people come out and actually support the program and get to see them who might not be able to see them in
Yeah.
any other capacity. So it's kind of like Coach Prime bringing it to you guys out there in Denver to your backyard. So you could just come out and check out the Buffaloes. Get down under the lights. I think that's going to be very significant, though, with what Coach Prime is doing. And here's why I think because you have like a new staff, you have a new squad, and the best thing you can do is simulate game time situations as best you can in all situations. One thing they do at all the practices is they don't just have the music out there for entertainment. They have the music playing and blasting loud because that's simulating the loudness of the stadium and stuff.
Right.
Any stadium you go to is going to have music blasting or either the fans roaring. So you're going to have to communicate within that. You're going to have to communicate within the chaos, and it's going to have to be efficient. So you might as well practice like that. And taking it a step further, our first game going to be under the lights. Let's go under the lights and practice. It's going to be in front of some fans that allow some people to see us in here. Maybe we'll get some cheers or something, but all of it is going to be great for the coaching staff to practice that and have
Yeah.
that simulation and the players. Because as we saw Coach David Kelly say, that was highlighted today, I think, that they had 9 penalties on the sideline alone last year. And that's on coaching staff and players and discipline. So I think this will help them out. And if Coach Prime can do it again somehow, just to simulate the game situations, it'll be all welcome. But I think that's going to really help out the squad this next Friday.
Yeah, I agree, and in addition to all those things, which I agree with, it's also just a cool opportunity to go off campus, and he likes
Yeah.
just changing the surroundings a little bit, and clearly, going to Denver South High School's All City Stadium is not going to be the same as going to Lincoln, Nebraska, or things like that. But it's getting you out of your comfort zone, out of your surroundings, and doing that, and really just a cool thing to bring it to the community. And I asked longtime SID at CU. I said, have the Buffs ever done that where they've gone off campus for a fall practice? And he's been around since the 70s. He goes, not to my knowledge. He's pretty sure they did it once or twice in the spring, but he said, I've never heard of them doing that in the fall. So and part of it, I think, is that I think they might have done it at Folsom Field, but there's a concert at Folsom Field on Saturday night, and so they can't do it at Folsom because it's going to be set up for a concert. So
Good
You know,
catch right there, because a lot of
and
people were asking that. So great catch right
yeah.
there also.
So that I think that's a big reason why. But I was also told by someone who Coach Prime did want to do this. You know that he did like the idea of going out, to Denver and bringing it to a high school stadium. So, but I'm guessing that the fact that Folsom wasn't even available, um,
It's the main reason for that.
that's got to be a main reason. And probably said, you know what? Well, let's go find some other venue and make it a
Yeah,
cool community event. So it worked out. Whatever the reason is, I think it's a cool thing that they're going to do that and awesome for the community.
me too. Me too. I agree. So we'll look forward to that, and hopefully it works out in a positive manner. Um, Let me see. I'm not seeing much coverage on the safety linebacker room. L Boogie said, "Yeah, we could get into that if you want to, Brian. We could talk about the safeties and linebackers in a second if you want to. There was a couple of other things that was out there, like we just talked about in the media today with Warren Sapp was up there. He praised some of his guys and talk about the depth. They can go at least I wouldn't say three deep, but three rotations. So that's six players. You know, two guys
Yeah.
inside. He's
Mhm.
named Shane Cokes, Anquin Barnes, Shadozi Wanquo, Big TC, Amari McNeil, and Ryan Buell. Also, that's six guys right there that can go. Not even to mention Tawfiq Thomas. I think he was referring to as the young guy. So
Yeah.
a lot of guys there on that defensive line that Coach Sapp can go into. Anything stood out about what he said?
Well, he talked about how he wants them to be wild dogs, and he said, "So what happens if you look outside? There's some wild dogs in there, but you're going to stay inside." He said, "So we want to be wild dogs when we show up." And the thing is, you talk about you hear a lot of times about how a team maybe takes on the identity of their coach, right? And
Yes,
I
yes.
actually mentioned that to Deion Sanders one time. He goes, "I hope so," because he's got that confidence, right? If
Yeah.
this defensive line takes on Warren Sapp's mentality, whew, look out,
Don't forget
because
about D. Lou. Hey, a
well,
lot
D.
of
Lou was
people.
right, right, right,
D. Lou
yeah,
is the dog also, and like Sap
yeah,
said, he came behind him at Miami, and first round draft pick, played St. Louis, was a dog also.
yeah,
Now Sap had the name and all the accolades and stuff, but D. Lou was a dog, and also went through the coaching ranks to get to the point to where he could be that D line coach. And it's great that they go back that far because they have a relationship that was forged before getting in
yeah.
the coaching field. And now, while they're there, is no ego, is no, well, I'm the Hall of Famer, I should be sent. Nah, none of that stuff, dog. That's out the window. Both of them Miami Hurricanes. Both of them played in the league. Both of them got their respect, and they have that dog attitude, bringing that juice, like Coach D. Lou has like to say.
Yeah, and it's funny that, Coach Sapp is older, 5 years older than D. Lewis. So, Lewis came in after him, but really
Yeah,
the roles were reversed a little bit in that, Sapp's learning a little bit how to coach from D. Lew, who's been in it longer than he has. So,
exactly.
they can play off of each other. Warren Sapp said today, he goes, "We think alike with the game." He goes, "There's a good push-pull relationship there, but
Hmm.
they think alike with the game, and if we can, bring that to these players, then that's awesome." I loved what Sapp was saying about coaching and how he never really thought about it. He goes, "For something I didn't even want to do, I'm addicted to it." And
Yeah,
he's loving, if you didn't watch, if you watched that and didn't come away like just impressed with what he was saying about coaching, I think there's something wrong with you. Because what he was talking about, like, he's just getting energized by these young guys, and he's loving the process of teaching them. And
right.
that's what coaching is all about, right? I mean, that's the essence of it, is teaching. And as I get older, it's awesome seeing, as you teach somebody young, see them learn how to do something, and you're like, wow, that's awesome to see them do it. And he's enjoying that part of it, which is awesome.
Yeah, you could tell he's enjoying it. Like he said, he got a reason to get up off his sofa every day,
Right.
and being a former or retired football player and having those accolades, he probably sit at home and do nothing, or just go fishing, or sap going fishing, or hunting, or just watching. What's the show they like to watch? Swamp People all day. They can watch
Yeah,
Swamp
yeah,
People
yeah.
all day if he wants to. But when he came to visit, and you get around those players, they ask some questions. That juice get to flowing, and something else was just sparked up inside of him. And luckily, gratefully, for the Colorado Buffaloes, he's there, And like you said, hopefully that defensive line take on that mentality of both of those guys,
Mhm.
and just have that relentlessness and that consistency of that dog attitude throughout the game. You know.
Right, and I'll tell you the defensive linemen I've met, and I haven't talked to all of them, but, on at media day on Friday, and I had met Chidozie before, we did a Zoom together, but meeting him in person, and Shane Cokes and, BJ Green, I got to sit down with. I mean,
Yeah.
you talk to these guys, and it's like, "Ooh, yeah, they're dogs," they
Yeah.
they got that in them, and, and the way they talk about Coach Sapp, but also D. Lou, and saying how much they're enjoying learning from him. I think this group is 3 rotations deep. I think they're really talented as a group, and you look at it compared to last year, and I'm not trying to dog on last year's group, but we know Coach Prime has not hidden the fact that it was easier to get skilled guys last year, and then this year you
Hmm.
you fill in with the linemen. We know they were thin last year on the line, but you look at it compared to this year, it's like no, they're not thin anymore. They got some dogs, they got some talent there, and you see it with guys like Chidozie and Shane Cokes and BJ Green, and I haven't met Tafik Thomas, but you see that in him in practice as well, and
Yeah.
Rayon Buell, guys like that. I mean, there's some dogs.
They definitely some dogs, man, that like you said got experience and
Mhm.
that can continue to just rotate in and not really lose a step or have a drop off. So excited about that. I like what Coach Sapp said, which is an old defensive line term. Basically, you got to earn the right to pass rush, meaning that you got to stop the run, dog. You got to force some 3rd and 8, some 3rd and longs where
Yeah.
it's going to be passing downs. There's going to be a 5 to 7 step drop, and you can pin your ears back and get after the quarterback. That's what we want to have on that defensive line as a defensive lineman. You look for situations like that. Let me
Yeah,
see
for
here.
sure. And Coach Prime mentioned as well also that, that secondary, he sees guys that, are just better at coverage, and and when you put those 2 things together, they're better. I mean, you could be the best cover corners in the world, and if you can't get to the quarterback, it doesn't matter. You're gonna
It,
get
it,
beat,
it'll
right?
make you look like trash.
Right, and you can have the best defensive line in the world, but if you can't cover anything, they're gonna find holes and pick you apart. So, the 2 of them working together, that's what I'm curious to see, because I do think, we've talked about it before, I think corner, is the most underrated, improved position on this team. I think
Mm,
that, but we don't talk enough about how much better the cornerback group is than last year, and defensive line, we do talk about that a lot, but, if both those groups are much better, and I think safety, Cameron Silman Craig, I talked to him about this the other day. He played out of position last year. He had never
yeah.
played nickel in his life. He's more comfortable back at safety now. They might be better at safety as well. So when those 2 things are better, I think you can be a better defense.
I think so also, and that could take us right to the linebackers in the safeties room and answer this question from L Boogie. If you guys
Yeah.
have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat so Brian and I can get to them as we see them. I'm not seeing much coverage on the safety and linebacker rooms. Brian just mentioned the safety rooms. I like to go over a few of the guys who I liked coming in, and I think they're doing well at practice, and that's R.J. Johnson and Savion Riley.
Mhm.
I like those 2 guys and their background coming in from the SEC schools. Bigger safeties back there, over 6 feet, 200 pounds, can really hit and cover, has some speed to cover. I worry about how agile they are. We'll have to see that. But Riley had produced in the SEC at Vanderbilt. So I'm excited to see him on the field this year. Cameron Silman Craig, of course, like you said, moving back to a position that
Mhm.
he's more comfortable at, more off the ball, and with everything in front of him instead of playing things behind him. Carter Stottmeyer is going to be he's going to be the wild card back there,
Yep.
or the if he pops off and can really play, if he's any like spec of how they have him on the video game with the 90+ speed and the agility, they got him crazy fast on the video game. If he's back there and can show those coverage skills from the cornerback, foundation that he has. If he
Yeah.
can show that at the safety spot, that's going to bring value and great addition to that defensive backfield for the Buffs.
And let's not forget, I mean, Carter, for a time last year, got in and played corner and looked pretty good,
Yeah.
early on before he had a little injury. So, we know he can cover. And I like him back there as well. Cameron Silman Craig, the other day when I talked to him, I asked him, I said, is there anybody that's doesn't get a lot of attention that's really standing out to you? And he thought about it for a second. He goes, Savion Riley is the guy that I think has had
Mm,
a really good camp. And, so he pointed out what you're talking about, Chico, that, Savion doesn't get talked about a lot because I think we kind of assume it's going to be Cam Craig and Shiloh Sanders, which it probably will be. But, when you've got somebody like Savion that could come in and do it, I think that you're going to rotate in a little bit. And, we're already seeing, Shiloh's been a little banged up, right? And Cam Craig, I mean, could probably use a breather every now and then. So you're probably
yeah.
going to need that third, maybe even a fourth safety. So it's nice to hear positive things out of somebody other than who we project as the starters. And we are hearing good things about Savion. Carter was banged up a little bit early in camp. Looks like he's back and doing some things. So you like to hear that. And so I think the safety group overall is probably better. I still miss Trevor back there, but I'm excited to see him at linebacker. And it's hard to argue with Shiloh and Cam.
And here's the thing about that, and about the depth back there that we have. We named what, 5 safeties in Shiloh, Cameron Silman Craig, R.J. Johnson, and Savion Riley. We didn't even name a guy who and Carter Stockmeyer, right?
Yeah.
We didn't even name a guy who I might be even just as excited about, because I know his past from Jackson State, and he played a year at Idaho State, but he's from San Diego, a highly touted guy coming out of high school, Lincoln High School out there. And that's Herman Smith the third.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
linebacker type body as far as physicalness, but can cover back there in the defensive backfield. Comes up with big hits also. Somehow, some way, which would be crazy to say, I think we'll see somehow all of those guys play some this season. But of course, you're going to hear their names called a lot on special teams, because that's where you see a lot of your safeties at, whether it's kickoff, punt
Yeah.
team, punt return, whatever. You're going to see safeties there. So, but the main guys on defense, I think, will be Shiloh, Cameron Silman Craig,
Mm-hmm.
Savion Riley, and then Carter Stockmeyer will be the first 4, I think. R.J. Johnson, and then Smith. Man, it's going to be hard to
Well,
keep Herman Smith the third off the field, and that's what I'm thinking.
there's another guy too that
Big Ben Finisef.
there's big, yeah, him too. But there's another
Ben,
guy
like,
that
what about me, man? I got you, Big Ben.
and Ben can play, and Ben's a great guy. But
Yeah.
another guy that we haven't even mentioned yet, and he's a guy I've always been curious about, and we don't see him a lot in the videos, other than pumping up the team a lot, was Travis J.
Travis J.
And that's the
Travis
guy
J.
that
Dang, man.
he got playing time at Florida State. I mean, this is not a scrub, right? This is a guy that
Nah,
played
man.
at Florida State. He's a big guy, big safety. He's clearly, somewhat of a leader and a popular guy on the team. We haven't seen him pop off on videos yet, so I kind of wonder what his status is. But I don't think he's a guy you can forget. I just don't know
You're exactly
where he
right.
fits in that rotation.
You're exactly right. I don't know whether it's going to be situational, short yardage, goal line, or whatever you
Yeah,
can use Travis J in. Uh, I hope he's 110% back from his injuries. But watching him at Florida State, I know he's one of those guys you could put there like in the nickel position,
yeah,
and third and short, or even third and 8 or whatever, and he can produce. Kind of like what Miles Slusher did last year, in that
mhm,
first couple games, whatever he played in, making plays in those flat areas. Travis J could really bring that. And if he's healthy, he's sitting back there in the spot like, yep, they still forgetting about me. They're still forgetting about me. And hopefully, he can make some noise, in the next couple weeks, and before the game time, and we'll see him on the field. But
and honestly, he's a guy I don't know if we'll see him this year because of how deep they are. But he's a guy that I don't think you can just shove aside and say, yeah, he's not a factor. I think that he may not be, but I think he could be.
Well, that's the good thing about this year, that we're talking about 6, 7 deep at 1, 2 positions,
Yep.
and we're trying to find out who's going to really play, and we're getting all the way down to this Travis J, and we're like, he can play, he
Yeah.
can play, So great problem to have for Colorado. That goes back to the job I think the recruiting team has done so far, being there with Coach Prime. Shout out to Corey Phillips, Darian Box, my 2 young ladies, and Coach Riz, and everybody else in that office and doing their thing. One shout out. Oh, got to give a shout when you say recruiting with Colorado. You got to give a shout out to E. Dewey Smith too. Pastor Smith, shout out
Right.
to you too, man, because we just named four of your boys. Colton Hood at the cornerback spot, which we'll get to. Brandon Hood at running back, looking good.
Mhm.
Trent Hood, the walk-on linebacker. R.J. Johnson is related to him, and Big Zach Owens all went to the same high school, and they played against Michael Welch. So all
Right.
of those guys know each other from
Yeah.
out there in Georgia. So hey, hey, if we could continue to pull talent like that, then I like that. Great job,
Yeah.
Coach
Hey,
Prime.
real quick, I see Charles make a comment. Yeah, Ian Massey,
Ian
um,
Matt,
I know
Lord Jesus, we forgot about my
he
dog Ian Massey.
he's a walk-on addition, but and didn't play a ton at Oregon State, but he's a guy that came from a Power 5 school, right? And so
Yes,
you can't totally forget him either. And so this depth we're talking about, and we can use this to transition to linebacker if you want, but this depth we're talking about is why they can move Trevor Woods to linebacker.
can I do
Because
this? Okay,
yeah,
okay, I'm sorry.
yeah, go
This
ahead.
depth, like you said, why they can move Trevor Woods to linebacker, and go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say that I think that's why you can move Trevor because they're so deep at safety. It's like, yeah, we like Trevor there, but we don't need him there because we have these other guys. We might need him more at linebacker.
Yeah, exactly right. I have this queued up already, just in this program, so I can show maybe like a 10-second clip and of Ian Massey highlights from Oregon State practice, actually. So here we go. Coming up, hidden right there in the box, in the alley right there. He's wearing number 18, I think. Boom, there he is. Wham, coming up, showing physicalness at the line of scrimmage.
You like to see that?
I love to see that. Then if you can do that, but also combine it with this, showing that range right here, getting from the hashes all the way over to the outside of the numbers, going up, making a play, being aggressive on the ball. Would love
Yeah.
to see that back there at a safety spot for a
And
senior.
see, these are guys, Chico, that we talk about that they may not be starters, and maybe an Ian Massey gets 20 plays throughout the year, but he's a guy that can make good on those 20 plays, right?
Right.
Or 50 plays, whatever it is. Maybe he needs a spot start. You can look at him and say, all right, we're okay back there because he can play.
And we saw how Rod Ward came in later on in the season and made plays after
Yeah, I
not
mean,
getting the opportunity earlier.
and Ward became a sort of an every week starter towards the second half of the year. So
Yeah.
he was a guy that wasn't a factor early on in the year. But I put guys like Massey and Travis J in this category of don't forget these guys. They may not see a ton of the field, but you can't forget guys like this.
Right. Boom, getting up, making. So you see that athletic ability from him. So just another, great addition, I think, to that defensive backfield. As we move to the cornerbacks now, I saw at least Colton Hood make at least 2 plays against Amarion Miller, going up past deflection and then getting the pick, showing his tenaciousness, I guess you could say, that tenacity and just being
Yeah.
relentless as a cornerback. And you like those cornerbacks who doesn't give up on plays. If they feel like they're beat, you don't want to see them let up. You want to see them, as my coach used to say, show heart. At least chase him until he scores. You never know, he might drop the ball.
Yeah.
And Colton Hood has been in people's hip pocket. Even when Travis Hunter made a play on him, he was right there. And I saw him break up a play, Shador to Travis. He made a breakup on that. So he's been a good addition back there. I think he could be that third corner or that guy who replaces Travis when he comes out for spelling and getting some rest. So Preston Hodge, Colton Hood, and then DJ McKinney. After that, though, that's what I've been worried about. Who's going to be those guys to step up?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to have to be one of those freshmen or walk on or who. Can somebody let me know?
Right.
That's
But I do feel throughout spring we saw Preston Hodge and DJ McKinney step up, and so with Travis, all right, you got a pretty good three, but when Colton Hood gets in there now, you're like, ooh, all right, they got a fourth, and what did we do last year? We spent all last year worrying about who is that number 2 guy, who's the guy that's going to play opposite of Travis, and they went through a number of guys, and Amarion Cooper did a lot of that and played well at times, but they used Carmani in there. They used Carter Stoutmeyer. They used some different guys, and it was never totally solidified. And so, you're looking at, I think, 4 deep right there. And then, a guy like Ivan Yates who comes in. I know it's, Furman, it's a lower level, but he's a
Yeah.
guy that played a lot of football. So I
Yep.
think they got some guys now. And, Carter Stoutmeyer, if you get into a pinch, I think he can move over there as well.
Exactly. If he's like just full strength,
Mhm.
who say he can't go down there and be that fourth or fifth corner, you know,
Right.
get down there in the press position and or and jam somebody up. I think when you look at it like that, you're exactly right. And I forgot about my guy Yates, who I was high on coming out of Furman. I just wonder, can he travel? Can he switch over, or is he just a left side from the offensive or right side corner? If you're looking
Yeah.
at defensive side, can he travel? But has some ability, played and started at Furman. You know, to see how it works out in the rest of this camp because we got a few more practices to go before you're going to be looking at game week, baby. It's going to be game week, and when game week comes, it's a different story. It's going to be setting the game plan. It's not going to be a let me try to earn a spot. You
Right.
know, it's going to be really the spot going to be kind of already solidified. You probably have a couple of positions that you'll look at, but those spots will be solidified. One guy who's coming in later but has a lot of talent, who he just was able to bring in, is big Cardell Thomas, who came over, spent years at LSU, but came over from FAMU. A big fella, 6'4", 300 plus pounds, was a top 100 recruit in 2019. Went viral on a couple videos from camp. Can he learn the offense fast enough to be on the field ASAP? Um, or when do you think ASAP will be for a guy like him?
Yeah, that's a tough position to try to learn right, late, I think. And I think they're in a good spot with their offensive line to where, uh, I mean, it's hard to tell when you just see the well off. You don't see all the practice, but I do think that you know they're in a spot they don't need a starter, right? I don't think they necessarily need him to be a starter, but can he be that guy that can jump in there in a pinch? And I think he's a guy that's played a lot of football, right? And
Yeah.
so he can probably learn an offense and be ready by I don't know week 1, week 2. We saw Juju last year that wasn't he came in around this time, wasn't quite ready week 1, but I think it was by week 2 he was in there, if I'm not mistaken, or week
Hmm.
3. So,
Yeah.
offensive line, if he can be ready by week 2, week 3, I think that's pretty good.
That'll be tough, but I hope he will be at least
Mhm.
ready to push those guys that's in front of him, um, and hopefully no injuries come about. We have some guys who are nicked up right now, but that usually happens at this point of camp. I don't think we have any serious injuries. Knock on wood. Hopefully we stay injury free throughout the season. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? So um, let me see a couple other spots we need to hit. Any questions, y'all put them in the chat right now. Make sure y'all share
Well,
this on Twitter right now. What'd you say,
yeah,
B?
let's go linebacker because to finish up from that question from before,
Okay,
with not a lot of
that's
attention on
right. That's right.
linebacker, but I think to me it looks like it's Levante Bentley and Trevor Woods at that starting group, but we're also seeing good things out of Jeremiah Brown and Nikhil Hill Green has been in there, and there's some other guys as well. So I think we're seeing that there's some depth at linebacker as well.
Well, man, I've always been riding with Bentley and Woods and so on, but I've also been very critical of the linebackers over the season. When I call the games live, y'all can check this out this season too. I'll be calling the game live. If I'm not there, I'll be calling it live. Y'all can listen to it and watch it with me. But um, that's where in the games I'm rooting for them and I'm asking them, and hopefully we'll see it this year to just anticipate a lot more, read a lot
Mhm.
faster, shoot those gaps some, be more aggressive in the run game because we're going to have to step up. And so far, to be honest, what I've been seeing still it's kind of like the same thing. We've still been getting slashed in some ways. Now,
Yeah.
in other ways, the defensive line has been gobbling up the offensive line to where they hadn't been able to get to the linebackers, and then we'll see Bentley and Woods make some plays. But I want to see Bentley and Woods go make some plays on the other side of the ball. Recognize, see what's happening before pre-snap. Understand. Oh, okay. Every time they do this, they do this. Okay, I'm bam, I'm going just some instinctive type plays rather than just sitting there bouncing, doing your thing, being kind of mechanical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's go make some plays, dog. And I think Chainsaw Cheney can do that. I might be wrong on some of these, but I know what I've seen out of the first two, which I think is good, but I think can be improved. And it may be more natural and more fluent in some of the guys behind them in certain situations. So rather than seeing just two guys out there the whole time this year, I would like to see more situational. Levante
Yeah.
Bentley, let me stop calling names in this case right here. I would like to say if you're better against the run, put him in the run. If he's better
Yep.
if he's not as good in the pass, take him out. And don't worry about feelings or anything of that nature. He's not going to be able to drop and get in that cover two deep enough. Take him out, put somebody else in. If he's a thumper in the middle, you put him in short yardage when you know they're going to run. Use
Yep.
your guys to the best of their ability, and that's when you'll be successful. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, and Robert Livingston says that, right? That's what they're going to do is they want to find out what guys are best at and tailor things around those guys, and so that's the one area of the field that I'm not totally sold on how good they are yet. Even as much as I love Trevor Woods, we haven't seen enough of him at linebacker, and he struggled a little bit last year. It was a new position, and we learned that he wasn't even practicing at linebacker. They would just throw him in there at games, so I give him a pass. But I think that's one area that I look at and say I'm not totally sure what they have yet at linebacker, but that might be one area where, to your point, hey, maybe Trevor's really good in the third and long because he can cover, but
That's right.
maybe Nakai Hill Green is that thumper that you want in
Right.
there on 3rd and 2, and
Right.
so you switch that out. Maybe Bentley's a 3-down guy. I don't know. So whoever it is, I think you're right that might be one spot where we see a little bit that more than other spots.
And you have to do it. You can't be afraid to do it. You can't worry about
Mhm.
if you do it. You have to do it. You have to know that Hill, Green, and Bentley play well together, better than maybe Woods and Bentley. And you can't
Yeah.
worry about saying that. And I'm just using this as an example. You can't worry about saying that. Oh, he's a senior, and no, dog. We ain't worried about none of that. You know what I'm saying? I've seen seniors on the sideline with their helmet clapping. And that
Yeah.
was better for the team. But a guy like Woods or Cheney or even Wester, Wester I think might be just as good as Woods in pass coverage. You
Yeah.
know, maybe you might see them on the field together in passing downs
Yeah.
rather than having to have Bentley out there or a run stopper out there rather than have a run stopper and put both of them out. Situational football is all I'm trying to ask for, especially at the linebacker spot, because I saw linebackers out there last year that were tired, and that could have
Yeah.
been because of they didn't lack of depth or whatever. Well, this year we shouldn't have that problem, and you should be able to sub off of that. You see somebody tired or winded out there, they just chase the running back on a wheel route, and now they're coming back. Take them out.
Yeah.
Take them out, dog.
Right.
I hate to see that on the football field because you need to do this, or a coach need to be looking at that. We got enough coaches on the sideline to where no one should be out there tired. You should never have
Mhm.
12 men on the field at the same time, and you
Yep.
should never have 10 men, less than 11 men on the field at any time. You got enough coaches for that. That's
and
me.
and you and you got enough depth you can do it, right? I mean, these are all Division I athletes, and you should be able to do it. A guy like Jeremiah Brown is someone that I would love to see them find a role for him. I mean, last year he never really found his role at CU, and Coach Prime talked about in the spring that Jeremiah was kind of going back and forth as to figuring out what he wanted to be, right? But we saw how productive he was at Jackson State. Can they figure out what Jeremiah does well? Because I'd love to see
Yeah.
that guy. He's such a good personality that we see, and maybe I root for him a little bit because of that. But I'd love to see somebody like that find his role. What is Jeremiah really good at? At 3rd and 9, where he can get in
Mhm.
there and cover a running back out of the flat, something like that. Is that what he's best at? So I want to see a
Yeah.
role for a guy like that. I think we're going to see that more at linebacker, and so we're going to find out. But I mean, I just think there's going to be a little bit more rotation than you're used to. I think a lot of times we look at who are the two guys at linebacker. Well, let's
Mhm.
maybe there's 5 or 6.
I don't think we have. Well, I'm not gonna say I don't think we have. I'll say I don't think we're in a situation right now to say we're just gonna have two backers,
Yeah.
and they're gonna ride it out, or even say uh, because of last year, because they started last year, we're going to have these two. Not saying that that's what they're doing, but I don't think that should be the case either. I
Mhm.
think it should be, man. This film from practice says, and all the time, each practice we switch up the rotation or we switch up your partner that you're going with, so we can see who fits well together.
Yeah.
Same way, the offensive line is doing, putting Tyler Brown at right tackle, some Khalil inside, switch it up, go here. Let's see how you guys work there. Is it better? Can Khalil better communicate with Hank because he's how does it work best? We need to figure out all of that right now and be open to everything is what I'm saying. Let's be open to everything because
Yeah.
we got talent on this football team for sure. Let's not stifle it. Let's not hold it back. Let's let these wild dogs loose, like Warren Sapp said. And he made a great analogy when he said, and I think you said it earlier, but when he said, if you're walking down the street and you see a pack of wild dogs coming, what? You gonna
Right.
stay in the house? Or you gonna run in the house? Or like I did back in the day, you're gonna run on top of somebody's car and sit there until the dogs leave.
That's right. Well, and I would say the one guy that I would project would be that every down linebacker would be Levante Bentley, if I had to say. But yeah, as long if you can get some dogs, some guys that just fill their role, and if you can get not just defensive linemen, we talked about with them, but linebackers, everybody, those wild dogs, yeah, get everybody on top of the car.
well, I'm not going to be anywhere near where Bentley can tackle me or anything in that case. Or if I am, I will be running behind a car on top of a car because he looked like a pit bull. Definitely. Shout out to my dog Levante Billy from 205 Birmingham, Alabama. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
challenge you right now, Levante. Dog, make more plays on their side of the football this year, and you'll be what is it, health yeah, very heavily rewarded for
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
if you can do that this year because we think you have all the tools. You know what I'm saying? If you put that together with the production, especially on the other side of the ball, get some tackles for loss, dog. That come from watching film, anticipation, and just shooting those gaps and instincts. If you can do that, you're going to set a whole nother level up for yourself, in the
Mhm.
future, and you're going to lead this team to where they want to be. Trust me on that because,
Yeah.
you know, sitting there watching and waiting, this goes for all linebackers, not just Benny. But sitting there watching and waiting all the time, or nine out of 10 times, no, you got to see and go sometimes. You got to see those guards and read those guards. You see them pull and go, shoot the gaps and go sometimes. Don't let them come to you and you're taking on the lick all the time. You got to give some lick sometimes to where
Yeah.
these offensive linemen don't want to block you.
I
That's
tell
what
you
I'm
what,
saying.
I do think Levante did a better job of that in the second half of last year. I thought that he was one of the most improved guys from game 1 to game 12 last year on this defense, and, actually one of my favorite guys on the team to talk to. I love when he
Mine
does
too. I
media.
told you
And
he from my
yeah.
stomping grounds. Jackson Nolan High School, which they don't play around at. Like I said, Birmingham, Alabama, they don't play
Mhm.
around at. He is a dog. He went to Clemson. He produced last year. But I'm just saying what I want to see, big dog. I want to see, and I ain't saying you didn't do it. I want to see more of it. Is
Right.
what I'm saying. Make tackles for losses, dog, because it's gonna help the whole team. You're gonna be able to get up and throw the things up, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
Omegas and the dogs up and get the that's what we want to see. And
And
I'm
I
just gonna
think
challenge you to it.
Yeah, and I think he had 5.5 sacks last year, something like that. To me, the only reason that number might go down would be because they've got more options of pass rushers. I mean, last year it was kinda Jordan, Dominic, and then Levante, but this
Hmm.
year you've got more pass rushers and, Warren Sapp talked about it again today. They got, like, 5 guys on a two-lane highway, he said,
Yeah,
so
I think he was mentioning. Now let's break that down. We want to get into the pass rushers too. I think he
yeah.
was mentioning that 2 lane highway being, those two gaps, defensive
Yep.
tackles that nose and a D tackle. That 2 lane highway, you got 5 guys there. We named all 5 of them off the top, and then you add in Buell and Taufik Thomas. We're really 3, 4, rotation deep.
Yeah,
At
but
that
I think
defensive
even
tackle spot.
but I think even he was talking about the ends a little bit too with,
Now, if you go to
Okunlola and Deion Hayes and,
the ends, might be even just as
right.
deep.
Yeah. And I'm trying to
Dang.
think of all the names. I mean, Arden Walker,
Okunlola,
Okunlola, yeah.
Okunlola, Arden
Mhm.
Walker, Quincy Wiggins, D. Hayes, Tajay McCoy. That's
Yeah.
five right there. Nikhil Hill Walker.
Yeah.
Um, who else? Did I say Hill Walker? Webb Walker.
Yep.
Um, who else out there? You could put David Swain inside or outside. Where's he going to play at? Then BJ
Right.
Green, I didn't even name.
Mhm.
We six deep right now.
Yeah.
Goodness
And
gracious.
and I think Tajay McCoy
And
could
and
be, you
he's
mentioned
a
him, but,
dog.
he could be one of those young guys that like, "Ooh, wow,
We
he's
didn't
pretty
even
good."
name the kid from Kentucky, Keaton Wade.
Yeah,
We
and he's
didn't
been
even.
hurt, so but
Okay,
when
yeah,
he's
I saw him.
healthy,
Yeah, yeah,
when he's healthy though, I mean, he was a productive guy at
yep.
Kentucky. So, when he's healthy, he just adds to it.
What about Tristan Marios? He's been looking good at practice.
Yep.
6'6", got great size, been coming off that edge, being productive. Who's going to start? We don't know, but I would kind of bet DJ or BJ Green and probably Dayon Hayes or Okunlola. But what's going to be scary time is that NASCAR package when you put Okunlola or
Mhm.
Hayes or BJ Green over the guards, and then you have guys outside like Tajay McCoy, or you put Quincy Wiggins over the guard. You got McCoy outside. So many different pieces on this defense. Once again, great job by the recruiting staff to bring in a lot of talented pieces who have also
Mhm. Oh,
had type of production in some type of way. I think I muted myself
yeah.
somehow.
Well, and how about, I liked the little subtle jab that, Coach Sanders gave, to Pat Narduzzi at Pitt the other day. He was
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
"Hey,
Like, thank you.
he's like, "I gotta thank the head coach at Pittsburgh for getting those guys ready for us." You know? Sometimes
Yeah,
you gotta
for all that junk.
for all the flack that, and I'm a media guy, and, there's been a lot of attention on all that stuff, and we don't need to get into any of that, but for all that, you have to sometimes laugh at some of those jabs that he will subtly throw out there,
Yeah.
and give that little, "Hey, thanks, coach, for, getting these guys ready for us."
Yeah. I didn't know if everybody was gonna catch that, but he definitely threw it out there. Coach Prime slick with it too. Um, I just speaking of reporters, I just put a video out on YouTube of my breakdown of uh, what's his name, Kisler,
Keeler, Sean Keeler.
Keeler. I hope I said it right in the video, but Keeler, and how he was stiff armed by big Curtis Snyder, the associate athletic director for Colorado, and it was just funny to me how it was all caught on camera. He still showed up back there. The resilience of him. He got heart. I tell you that much. He got heart. He's one of those dudes he might get beat up in the hood, but he'll show up the next day with his basketball ready to play again. You're like, damn. All right, we're gonna
Yeah,
stick.
hey, listen, for whatever people wanna, think about Sean Keeler, I personally like him, I get along with him. He's not gonna back down. He'll be out there every day, and,
Good man.
and
Good.
he'll keep trying. He is not, whether you like what he writes or not, and I don't agree with everything, he is not gonna be the one that, rips you in print and then doesn't show up the next day. He'll rip you and then he'll show up and say, "Fine, give it to me if you want to give it to me." So, I give him. You have to give a guy credit for that he's not going to write and shy away. There's a lot of these guys out there that that rip on Coach Sanders that don't even live in Colorado and never show up, and so there's no repercussions for showing up. Or by writing whatever you do, but you got to give Sean Keeler. He's the one guy that does not back down from, hey, if I feel like this way, I'm going to ride it, and I'm still going to show up the next day.
Well, good for him then, dog. At least you showing that much about yourself. We'll see what happens in the future and how it plays out. But he definitely got stiff armed and matumboed as trying to go up with the little soft layup. You got to go up and try to dunk that thing, Keeler. Try to dunk
Right.
that thing, man. Go with a little soft layup. Get that junk up out of here.
That's
Big
right.
Curtis Snyder said, man, get that up out of here, dog. You better come back harder next week. Go eat your Wheaties. Right now, your barbecue chicken. Trash.
Well, and hey, and their answer might be he doesn't get off the bench to get a chance to do that layup. So we'll see.
Right. Like you might not even, You might not even get in the game.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
sorry,
pass
yo.
don't pass in the ball.
Oh man.
Right?
That was just funny though, man. Whoever it is, I don't know him personally though. For real talk, I don't know him personally, but dog, you know, I know Coach Prime, and I know that man ain't gonna just lash out on somebody unless he feels like whatever he did,
Yeah.
it was warranted, and at the end of the day, it was just funny on the video that I caught how he went about it. But other than that, much love to him. If you want to come on and say why he just did what he did or how he does what he does,
Right.
holler at him, reach out to him, tell him to come on the show. We'll give him, little reason to state his claim or why or whatever it is. And he might come on and double down and say, yeah, I'm here for this. I want all the smoke, and it'll be all good. But other than that, like I said before, a long time ago, I said this. I'm from Selma, Alabama, just in case people don't know. I'm from the 27 SEL. That's Selma, Alabama, the heart of the South. You know, uh, I can deal with people as long as they are who they are with no shame about it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, if
Yeah.
you wear it on your shoulder, cool. I got respect for you, dog. But the ones like you said, if you throw it and then try to hide your hand, or if you say it and then act like you don't want to come around or try to sneak around, those the ones are the most dangerous and the ones that I would have, and I think people like me will have a problem with. Other than that,
Yeah.
we can deal with it, because we know what we're dealing with,
Right.
and it's all respect at the end of the day. So shout out to him, and hopefully he got what he was asking for. You came with that energy. Now you got that energy. We'll see where it goes from there. But moving on, I saw a question saying, "Who's the backup behind Jordan Seaton?" And it's a lot of. I was gonna say it's a lot of guys, but it's several guys that we've seen at the left tackle spot. Big Philip Houston, I've seen take some reps
Yep.
there. Did I see Big Zach Owens take reps there, or was that Big Peyton Kirkland? I'm sorry, Big
I think it
Kirkland.
was Kirkland. Yeah.
I saw take some reps there. So I'm not sure who's on paper behind him,
It
but
seems
we
like
got some
Philip
young guys.
Houston. It seems like Philip Houston is that main guy.
Yeah, I think so. I think he could be. He has what is he upcoming junior or senior, and I think he has some playing time coming from Florida Atlantic, I think,
Florida
and
International.
Florida International. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he with a little bit more development and in that weight room some more. He hasn't been looking terrible out there. I tell you that much.
No, he hasn't. And I would say, I will also say this, that I think if something happens to Jordan, I don't necessarily think it'd be Philip Houston. I think that they would shuffle some other things around,
Right.
and it might be, Khalil Benson goes out there.
Khalil goes out there. Tyler goes to the right
Goes
tackle.
back to
Then
car. Yeah.
here comes Cordell Thomas all of a sudden, or here comes Tyler Johnson, which a lot of people
Right.
forgetting about
Right.
all of a
Right.
sudden.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
there's options. I think I don't necessarily think that it's Philip Houston, but it could be. But I do think if something were to happen to Jordan Seaton, or any of those starters, I think that there could be some shuffling, moving some guys around, rather than just who's number two. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so
Who's
I do
number
think
two?
it's more of like who's your number 6 lineman, who's your number 7 lineman, right? As opposed to who's your number 2 left tackle. Because because they're, as we're seeing, they're doing so much cross training with these
Yeah.
guys as well. That I mean, Tyler Brown, for example, is currently at right tackle. Told me the other day, I said, first game, North Dakota State, where do you think you're going to be starting? And he goes, right tackle.
Mm.
So, but we've seen him at left guard, we've seen him at right guard. He talked in the spring about snapping, which he said he's not doing really anymore. He's not doing much of that, but I mean, that's that's cross training, and so
Yeah.
we're seeing, and we've seen Jordan, go over a little bit and play right tackle, and so they're moving guys around, and so I think it's more of just really rank the linemen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is, and that's
Yeah.
something happens to Jordan, who's number 6, and then let's move
Not
around from there.
not who's the next left tackle, who's the number
Correct.
6
Yeah.
best. Right. You're
Yeah.
exactly right. And then
Yeah.
you shuffle and go from there, put them in the best positions, and go like that. You're exactly right. Let me see here. Chad said, Brian, I browsed over CU stats for last year, and there was one stat that stood out: passing yards, defense. What do you attribute was the reason for their numbers were so poor?
Yeah, the number of passing yards they gave up, they were pretty low. I think part of it is what we were talking about earlier is that I think they spent a lot of last year trying to figure out who's that number two corner aside from Travis. So I don't think they ever really had that solidified. And honestly, I think a lot of it is that they didn't have a scary pass rush. People, there wasn't much to worry about there, and it's what you and I talked about, Chico. That you can be the best corners in the world, but if there's not much up front, you're going to get picked apart. I think they got picked apart a lot because there wasn't a strong front, and I think that's where that number goes down because you have a stronger front. And I also don't think that they had, again, I don't think they had that second spot solidified. Let's be honest, Travis got burned a couple of times too. And not all his fault, but I mean, we know the Stanford game was not a great game for him defensively. He played pretty well for the most part, but he had a couple of those off games as well.
Yeah, I say that's like bound to happen. Last year with Travis coming off that injury and playing so many plays, I would say, in a way, I was kind of surprised. He was out there so much in certain situations and not kind of managed as much as I thought he would be.
Yeah.
They just kind of let him play, which was, oh, okay, damn. Which I know Travis was loving that. Production showed that it didn't hurt him so much, except for those few spots.
Well, and
in
if you remember, Coach Prime told us, I think it was a week or two later, Travis started playing better on defense. He told us that, hey, when he first came back from the injury, Travis was really focused on offense and didn't focus enough on defense going into that Stanford game. And that's kind of where that showed up, right? And I think there were maybe a number of reasons for that, but for them not having a good game in that regard. But part of it was what Coach Prime says, hey, he wasn't focused that much on defense at that point in time. And he locked in a little bit more and played better after that. And so, but I think to me, the main reason for that number that I can't remember who was it that asked that, Chad. I think the main reason for that number is just the fact they weren't very strong up front.
And that can be the reason for a whole lot of things. If you're not strong,
that messes
up
your whole defense, right?
And you're not stopping a run, that mess up everything,
Yep.
and it'll hurt your offense also,
right?
Because you're not helping at all. So, he said Travis has weight. Now you're right. That does help out with him being more physical and gaining those extra 10 to 15 pounds this year, and just understanding the game more. And hopefully, like I said, he'll be more confident in a guy like Colton Hood, who can come in and spell him, and he can come off that field, and not just him being more confident, but the coaching staff being confident and saying we can do that and give Travis this rest right here on this 2nd and 2 down. Bring him off the field, get him some water or whatever. You know what I mean? And just understanding that, I think this year, in this second year for Coach Prime and the whole staff, I think they're going to be concentrating on things like that. Like I said, those mistakes made by the coaching staff and the players on the sidelines, those penalties, erase those. Those players on the field tired and we're not subbing them out, erase that. Take that out. We're gonna take care of that. All of those little things, situational football. I keep saying that, going back to that, are the keys to and discipline are the keys to having a great season this year, because they weren't that far off last year. If you really look at those games, they weren't that far off.
Yeah. And there were a lot of discipline things, right? Even that Stanford game, I'm not trying to pick on Travis at all, but there was that penalty that he had against Stanford where little frustration and he shoves the guy. That turned an incomplete pass on third down into a first down, and then Stanford ends up getting some points. And even Shador, a couple of times where a taunting penalty after a touchdown, things like that. Those are things that you hope to eliminate more of things like that. So my point in pointing out those guys is it wasn't just certain people. I mean, it was top down sometimes that there were some discipline things that you think that in year two that those things will go down. I mean, they should, right?
And if you really look at things, it was amazing that they can even accomplish what they accomplished. And people are not going to look at those just moral victories or just that, but still, to me, it was amazing what they could accomplish in such a short time. overhauling a team, a whole team, a college football team, getting them back together and going on and having a season with the type of excitement that they had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
And this year
Uh,
could be even more exciting. So we're going to
even
find
more.
out. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. First game Thursday, August 29th. North Dakota State comes into Folsom Field. It's going down in a major way. Can't wait to see it. Calling it live right here on Big Dog Chico's channel. If you listening in on Brian Howard's channel, you can check out and subscribe to my channel right now. If you're listening in on my channel, you can check out Brian's YouTube channel and subscribe right now. And all the other good stuff. Brian, let them know where they can find you at and anything else. Any final words that we might be missing out on?
No, I think we covered quite a bit, but on X or Twitter, whatever, Brian Howell 33, and just on my YouTube, I have been dropping a few of those media day interviews. I got several more that I'm trying to space it out because we don't have access every single day, and so on
Mhm.
off days I'll try to drop some of those, and so you'll see a couple more this week that I'll drop. So some good ones. I got the Wester brothers together. Got Tyler Brown. I got BJ Green. I haven't written about him yet. He was an awesome interview. So some exciting videos I'm looking forward to dropping for you guys.
Man, I was trying to see if I could upload the actual, what would you call it, like the preview?
Yeah, that video I sent you with some snippets,
Yeah, the
so
snippets. Dang, I don't know if I could upload it fast enough, but y'all can check it out on Brian's page. Yeah, it's not gonna be fast enough for me to upload it right now. But
that's right.
check out. He got the interviews coming with everybody. Stay tuned for more. Also, Prime Parents coming this week. Got a special coming up. We're gonna try to continue to bring that each and every week. Check myself and Uncle Neely out each Sunday night on Unc and Chico. We're going live each and every Sunday. Same thing with myself, Brian and Adam. We're live throughout the week, giving you updates of the Colorado Buffaloes, Coach Prime, and all the players and such. Just keeping you informed and answering any questions. Y'all join the conversation. No worries. Last question, Mr. Maurice. Brian, are you participating in the black and white stripe out, or will you be in the booth?
I'll be in the booth, and I haven't planned the outfit, so maybe I'll wear black and white, but I'll be in the booth. So it doesn't matter as much what color I'm wearing, but it's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna look pretty cool.
That's right. If you want to get you some merch to wear to the game or just to wear while you're watching the game, you can go right there to bigdogchico.myspreadshop.com. You get you some merch like this, got some other stuff and some other designs coming. Just get you some to support the channel. That's all you got to do. Get you something to support the channel. I appreciate it when you do. And make sure you wear them to the game. And shout out to Brian when you see him up there in the booth doing his thing. The stripe outs work, just to be clear, the stripe outs work either you wear all black or all white, or depending on the section you're in, that's
Right.
the color that you wear.
So if you're going to the game and you don't know about that, they've got it on cubuffs.com and their social media channels. They have the map. So figure out where your seat is, and that's what you're supposed to wear.
There you go. So if you're sitting in the section where he's showing black, we're all black, dog.
Right.
Shoot, don't be the guy in the all black section with the white on. I used to hate when I did throw parties. I throw an all black party, somebody show up in all white. I throw an all white party, somebody show up in all black, trying to be different. I digress. All right. I appreciate y'all joining us. Make sure y'all stay tuned for more, man. This is Buff Time Podcast, Brian and Chico. We're going to be up and about this thing. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and comment, all the other good stuff. Peace in the Middle East. Yeah. Buff Time Podcast, baby.